So let me start this off. For all that do not know, I am Thomas Dortch III with the National Black College Alumni Hall of Fame Foundation. So welcome, family. And I put emphasis on family. We're all family here. No matter,
Absolutely.
no matter your backgrounds, no matter what you identify with, we're all family here. That's when we come together. We're not in the boardroom here. We're not suited up. This is not something formal. We kick back like I told them earlier. Just imagine we're at grandma's house. She just cooked a nice good meal, some smothered chicken, collard greens, mashed potatoes, and the family is coming together at the table. You got the aunts, the uncles, the cousins, the grandkids. We're all here.
Mm-hmm.
We all have something to say. We all want to make this open, a real conversation, talk, but we're coming with solutions. You may have comments about the protests, but that's not really our focus. We want to move forward. What do we do now? We have their attention. So what do we do to create an environment where these injustices are put to a stop and we are looked at as human beings just like everyone else, and we're afforded the same opportunities as everyone else? This is where the chat starts. So as I stated earlier, please introduce yourselves. This is an open platform for people. Tell us who you're affiliated with. Tell us your organizations. Just be open because we want to support each other. And it starts with us supporting each other, coming together, unifying, being solid. Solidarity is what we need. So you see the two individuals on the screen here. I'll start with Mr. Stevie Baggs. I want him to introduce himself. I can't do it justice. So I'll let him introduce himself. My brother, that is my family. My brother, here he is, Mr. Stevie Baggs.
Thank you, Trey. As I so affectionately call you, I appreciate you inviting me on. I appreciate serving with the National Black College Hall of Fame Alumni Association Foundation, I should say. And more importantly, we're in a place, in a space where we have to leverage and use our platforms to bring about a change in the thinking and the mindset of the people. So I played 10 years in the NFL and the CFL. I'm an actor, author, speaker. I've written 2 books, Greater Than the Game, and a book just released called Woke, which is a dictionary for the conscious mind. And then I serve as co-founder and president of the CETA Foundation. We have 9 after-school programs in the city of Atlanta. I'm in 100 Black Men of America, as well as so many other philanthropic organizations that I partner with to help unify our people. So I'm so thankful to be here today. I'm looking forward to sharing and learning. Thank you.
Thank you. And here we go. Like I said, this is, as I affectionately call him, Uncle Manny Mo. This is Mr. Emmanuel Lewis.
How you doing, sir?
How are you doing? We just want you to give a brief introduction. I know neither of you need it, but just to fill people in if they don't know what you're doing right now. Just let people.
Well, I'm just trying to be like Stevie, you know. I'm just trying to be like Trey.
I'm playing catch up, Lou.
My name is Emmanuel Lewis, actor, entertainer, humanitarian. You know, we've done a lot in our history in the entertainment industry, and we've done a lot in our prospective lives, donating money and scholarships and in so many different ways. It's ridiculous. There's no way we can possibly edify the things that we've done in a few seconds. So I say we just jump right to it. And we'll move forward. The bio is deep and it's real, but more importantly, what can we do now, and how can we strategize and mobilize our efforts so that we can play chess and not checkers at this moment? How can we make sure that people understand that this protest, that this revolution is real in so many different ways and so many different levels? And I think that's what's extremely important at this time. So yes, for the National Black College Alumni Hall of Fame, I'm a board member, the youngest inductee. But more importantly, what can we do now? How can we mobilize? How can we use our collective minds to make sure that we are making moves for the next century, let alone next generation?
Well, let's jump right into it. We're here to create solutions. Now, I have to say, all of us, I think I can speak for everyone here. We don't have the ultimate solution. We don't know.
Not at all.
We don't know what's going to happen. If we knew that, we would have solved the puzzle by now. But I'm going to go right into solutions. What do you think is the first step? Mine is unity. We need to unify, but everybody may have a different opinion. So I want you all to really start it off and tell us, what do you think is step number one? If you step out of the house tomorrow in the morning, even tonight, once you get out this call, what do you need to be doing first?
I'll jump it off and say that we have to change our mindset. We have to change the way we think.
Exactly. Understanding.
Yeah, because I always say this, and I really stand by this, is money is not power, and education alone is not power, but information is power. And if you are giving good information, you show good power. If you're giving bad information, you have bad power. The reason why we've been displaying such bad power, even though we have education and money, melanated people have a lot of money in this society. Melanated people have tons of degrees in this society, but we haven't produced and shown this power that we should produce, that we represent, because I don't think our mindset puts us in a place and in a space to even recognize it. So I think the first thing is changing the mindset.
Mindset is definitely very, very important. Making sure that people understand what this is about. Making sure that we correct them when they are completely off their rocker. Making sure that they understand that this is so much bigger than one death. This is too many deaths is what this is all about for us. Mm-hmm. So I just think as it unfolds, day by day, hour by hour, that people are to really understand what's going on and what part did they play or didn't play, and what things that they can do, unify. I believe in what you said. There's so many, we didn't get here by ourselves, we ain't gonna get out of it by ourselves. Right. So I think that's very important, that people understand that is very necessary, that we unify. There's a lot of brothers and sisters that are on our side from all walks of life. We're talking about from Australia to Paris and beyond. And they are all marching and protesting in unison with the Black community, that Black Lives Matter. And we're no longer or sitting back, allowing any more nonsense to take hold, and no one is being accountable for it. So I think those things are it's like there's no one thing that we got to do first. It's too far gone to just do one thing. We've got to do a collection of things at one time to get things going on. So it's there's no one thing we can do, to be honest, Trey, but there's a collection of things that we need to do immediately to make things happen.
So this is the one thing I want to interject into this, guys, is that I see people putting in the comments that we need to make a change by voting. We have to first recognize that we cannot be and should not be upset, in my humble opinion, at a system that was never created for us in the first place. When you're dealing with a system that doesn't even have respect for your hue, that's a conversation that transcends voting. Okay, we gotta talk about how we can get this Constitution rewritten. This Constitution, in and of itself, the legislation system, the legislative system, the judicial system, it's all corrupt. It's all upside down. And once we get to a place where we recognize that, the United States of America is not a nation. The United States of America is a corporation. Mm-hmm. And every corporation that you run into, a corporation has a president. A corporation has a vice president. A corporation has a board of directors. And once we recognize that a nation has an emperor, a king, a queen, nations have chiefs. We don't live in a nation, you guys. We live in a corporation. And once we find out
that corporation is illegal.
It's very illegal.
That corporation is illegal. So let's be real about that. Okay,
Absolutely.
it was formed illegal, and we need to get back to before it was, and now and that means by default all the laws that were created afterwards are completely legal. But that's a whole nother discussion. But yeah, we need to look into that, and we need to make mostly these wrongs right. And yeah, we do need to vote, and yes, that is very important. But guess what? There's a lot of these cats that's been doing some foul stuff, and no one's running against them. So we need to me, one of the other things that we need to do is we need a succession plan, because guess what? When this guy is out, we need somebody else that we're already grooming, putting in place, so that we can put people in those Senate seats and those congressional seats, and the Supreme Court, into all the mayors and the governors and lieutenant governors and the council members. We don't have a succession plan. So when this cat goes out that was doing the things we needed to do, where's the next guy up? So we don't have that, and we need that in a serious way.
Well, you're absolutely right, brother. Go ahead, TV.
You know, I hear what we're all saying, but this to take it a step back, people don't know that we need a succession plan. People don't know. Most people don't even know that the way the U.S. is set up is a corporation. So this goes back to the education, the information. How do we really start getting these people this information? It needs to be in a form just like schooling. But how do we start informing? Because you see the looters, you see what they're doing. It's not because I strongly believe in my heart. It's not just people want to go steal something and take it. They've tried other ways. They've seen us protesting, and they just think we have to destroy, and this is going to get their attention, but then there's no direction because they do not know what the next steps are, what to do. So how do we get this information really out there? It needs to be
Bro, what we're doing right now is exactly how we get this information out. We have to leverage our platforms that we have. I don't care if it's Zoom, Instagram, Facebook, I don't care what you do. You have to start doing it right here, right now, and having these conversations to help people put in a mindset and a perspective to unlearn and relearn. Once we unlearn what we've been taught and relearn truth, look at the prefix to these words. The prefix to the word Constitution is con. We've been conned to think that everything that this system has given us is the American dream. Well, we need to find out that it's really the American scheme. Okay. And once we recognize that, now we can infiltrate, educate, liberate, and vacate this system. So many of our people, once we get to a place of comfortability, I made a couple of dollars. I played in the league. I've been on TV. I have a nice house and I'm cool. Okay. Now I just infiltrate, educate, and I assimilate. I don't infiltrate, educate, liberate my mind, liberate my people, and vacate from that system to create a system within a system. So right now, we're a nation within a non-nation looking for our nationality. And that's a problem to me.
And let me jump in here. We see you giving, having your comments. We implore you to
ask questions.
And if you want to be visible, if you want to have your voice heard, let me know, and I'll add you on here and give you the time to speak. So please, I see that we have a lot of comments, but raise your hand. As soon as you raise your hand, I can add you to the conversation and let you be heard.
I see someone just came up, Janicia, I think that's how you pronounce Thurston. She wants to know the right now action. Okay, the one thing you can control is your temple. The one thing you can control is what you consume. And if you tell me, Emmanuel, if you tell me, Trey, if you tell me what a person consumes, I will tell you how they think. And I'm not just talking about what you put into your mouth. I'm talking about your consumption in your eye gate, your ear gate, what you put on your skin, and if you're consuming death, you're going to produce and manifest death. If you're consuming brokenness, you're going to manifest brokenness. Once we start to recognize that every system, the 5 power structures, political, social, economic, education, and spiritual systems, the 5 power structures they're all obsolete. They're all dead. They're all full of it's antiquity. It's history.
Mhm.
The right now is change the way you eat, change the way you live, and change the way you treat each other. That's kind of like what Tupac said. But if
Yeah.
you can't even change the food you eat to change the vibratory frequency of your life, then you're not going to be able to change your economics, because the economics is the big thing. Where
Mhm.
you spending your money at? We get a check and we go give it right back to everyone who doesn't look like us. But you look at Little Italy, you look at Chinatown, you look at all these other different sectors that they know how to go and do commerce with this system, but they come bring their money right back to their people. Once we start recognizing that, oh my gosh, that can take us eons ahead of where we are right now.
So let me go into where he's leading into, okay? Let me make sure that we bring it all the way home. When a cop pull over a white pedestrian, they have funds. They're thought of to be more of a threat. Okay, so when they pull over a black person, they're not expecting them to know someone. They're not expecting them to have money for bail or for whatever. They're not expecting there to be a fight in the courthouse where they have to fight for legitimacy. So that's where economic power is extremely important. When if they know that every time they pull somebody over, they're going to have a fight, and that everybody knows the law and everybody is not going down for it, that's going to change a lot. So the accountability is going to change a great deal. So there's so many different things. Now, should we be even pulled over in the first place for all the crap that they were doing? Of course not.
No.
You know what I mean? Of course not. But that's where it ends up. It ends up in where's the economic power that's behind that, so that when you pull someone over of color and they're like, oh snap, what did I do now? And they're fearful of their jobs and fearful of a which is another element that we're talking about, is having some type of accountability from the people. So we need one from the government side, and you also need one from the public side, so that they can report these police officers and have authority to do something about it when they do. So we got to have some teeth inside the things that we do, so that we can make sure that when it's reported, that it's not thrown out the window. How is a person with so many demerits on their system still in the police system to begin with?
That's
If
correct.
you've had so many different demerits on your police record as a police officer, and the chief is ignoring it, and the city council is ignoring it, or may not know, or the mayor doesn't know, at some point in time, that needs to stop.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different levels to this that needs to be dealt with, and we're having this public outreach system, so that the public can be accountable for these police officers, not just their captain who's shoving it underneath the rug. So there's so many levels to this.
Okay. And it's very good points. Let me go to some of the attendees. They have their hands waving. They got questions. So let me add one. First one is Alicia Crowell. I think
Alicia.
y'all know Alicia. What do you have to say, Alicia?
100 Black Men of America. How you doing, sweetheart?
I
am buddy right there.
I am great. Hi, guys. Hi, my brothers. Hey. You all look very handsome, and it's great to see you all and hear what you all have to say. And you guys are making so many valid points. But I have a question and a statement. So my question is, I've been on the ground at, the various protests here in Atlanta, and I've seen a lack of political leadership on the ground. I haven't seen our mayor. I saw today that there was one, but hey, it's been a week now, but I know today went really well, but again, I just don't understand. I don't understand why there is a lack of political leaders. Our major, folks from our senators, governors, mayors, even across the metro Atlanta, why are they not on the front lines? Why are we not seeing them?
Well, right now I know the mayor's firing 5 or 6 different police officers, so she might be bogged down a bit. But there's city councilmen and there's other people in the community that definitely need to be out there. But some of them are in plain clothes, and some of them are not necessarily recognizable. But there's been a few out there, but none of them are all recognizable in street clothes. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Well, let me speak to something, and I think it was misunderstood. I heard Charlemagne speaking on it, and I'm just going to tell you, once again, this is my perspective. He talks about holding our vote hostage. I don't think the choice of words may have been correct, but I think it's more of going back to the accountability. You know, this is their time right now. They're running for office. This is voting time. We need to hold them accountable. It's been too many times where we let these people get in our office and they get comfortable.
Right.
One of the things I realized when I'm voting, you have a lot of these people who are going unopposed. And I think we had a conversation about this earlier.
Yes. Yeah, we did.
Get in office and then nobody's running against them. Nobody's, challenging what they're doing. And we need to be like, just because they're African-American, just because they look like us, that does not mean we need to get comfortable. We saw what happened when Obama was put in office. We need to stop allowing them to get in office and think, okay, they're just going to do their job.
They're going to understand what the situation is. Yeah.
That's not how it works. Because everybody isn't for us. Everybody's not against us. So just because they look like us, they have the same hue, that does not mean that they have our best interests at heart. So we
absolutely.
I think she's right. There are lots of people when it comes to being election. They're everywhere. You know what I mean? But right now there is not enough of them out there visible. That's one of the things that we were talking about before as well. Is the plan should be coming from them. They're already elected. They're elected. This is the position that you wanted. This is where you wanted to be in leadership. You was elected to leadership. Where are you? Let me hear your voices. Where are their plans? I've not heard anybody from any elected official tell us the plans.
Man. Okay, hey, let me interject real quick because you're right.
Here, bro.
You will rarely see a political figure who's been elected or the ones that are appointed, because I want to talk about that. You will never or rarely see them get impeached or pulled out of their seats. Just like you will rarely see a police officer get charged for things that they've done, because I go back, this system is broken.
Speak on it.
Until we recognize that we have to put ourselves in a position to police our own communities, to educate our own communities, to economically have structure in our own communities. Because if you go into a community, a real community, we don't live in communities. We live in neighborhoods. What do you do with the hood, Emmanuel? You put this hood over your head to hide the truth from what's really going on. Because in a communities, Disney World, give you a prime example, Disney World, they have their own police, they have their own Disney dollars, they have their own education system. Before you get hired at Disney, you got to go through a whole education system. They have a community. We live in neighborhoods. And the reason why I'm so passionate about this is because we can't put faith in anyone, white, black, Asian, I don't care your ethnicity, hue, or whatever, that's put in your face telling you that they're going to do something for you in a system that was never created for you in the first place. This system was not created for the people. This system was created for wealthy people. Because if you control the money, you control legislation. You control the judicial system. You control everything that this manifesto that's in our face, this image that's in our face called a political system is brought to place. So when we talk about education, we know the education system doesn't teach our children anything. They don't teach them anything that they need. They're still teaching these babies about Christopher Columbus discovering America when everybody knows that's a lie. They don't teach them about taxes. They don't teach them about credit. They don't teach them about the foods to eat. They don't teach them about anything that they need when they become a real adult. And then the last point I'm going to say about education. If you want to vote, and if you want to talk about what your vote counts, tell me what the difference between a governor, a congressman, a senator, a mayor, a councilman, a solicitor. If you can't tell me the difference between all of those functions, don't talk to me about voting. But most people can't, because you know why? It's not a part of education. Just like the FICO system is not a part of education. That's what I'm talking about right there.
But you see a lot of people, they find loopholes. They understand and they get that information and they educate themselves where we don't even know our own rights. We talk about setting up these communities. We don't know that we have a right to do a whole lot more than what we're doing. we think that we need to wait on government. We think that we need to wait on police to run things, and we don't need to do that. Second Amendment, you hear other cultures talking about Second Amendment till it's dry. It's because we have the right to first defend ourselves, but we have the right to bear arms and do many things that we are in fear of doing. So if you hear people say, oh, well, they're getting arrested because I'm bearing arms, but I don't have my concealed weapons license, or I'm not taking all the necessary steps to say, okay, I'm working within your system, and then I'm going to create my system. So you can't come over here and police me and try to destruct what I'm creating, because I'm following your laws, but also creating my own. So here we have another one. Ms. Shannon Hicks Pope. I think she still has a question. I hope you're still there. Here you go. You have the floor.
Hello.
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 Peace to everyone.
Peace.
I just wanted to talk about for a minute what Stevie was talking about as far as changing the mindset. Our group is committing to changing our mindset. We don't have the answers of what to do on the national level, but we felt like we needed to do something now. So we've been talking about self-care as an act of resistance. And with that being our education, what we're researching, we've gone back and we've been researching a lot of revolutionary leaders, and even looking at how other groups have made changes in their communities, looking at the Montgomery bus boycott, just anything that created change in the past and how we can apply that now. So self-care through education, through what we're putting in our bodies, even getting up and moving, that's an act of resistance, I think, because it was never designed for us to be here in the first place. So our very existence is an act of resistance. So if we can maintain, as you said, our temple, our mind, our body, our how we're interacting with each other first, we have to we can look at that as an act of resistance. And another thing is when all this kind of happened and we were looking at TV and seeing, you know, the people in the streets, and we were seeing all this, and it made you feel like, you know, I got to get up and do something. But, you know, some of us didn't know what to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, as much as I wanted to be out in the streets, the way this ankle and this back is set up, like, I can't march, I can't run, I can't, you know, some people physically cannot, you know, get out there. Some people don't have a national platform. Some people don't, you know, don't consider themselves as organizers. So we were thinking, like, what can we do? You know, in addition to, like we said, guarding our temple, keeping our mind right, guarding our energy, staying prayed up, meditating, all that, just like we said, just guarding that temple. The next thing we can control is where we're putting our money. And we compiled a list of, we call it a withdrawal. Mm-hmm. And I think it would look different for every family. Not everyone is in a position, I think, to pull out completely. We're not set up like, you know, our forefathers were, as far as in the town that we live in, we have one grocery store and 4 housing projects. We live in a food desert. We don't have a transportation system that operates within our town. Many people are dependent on going, you know, to other towns for their work. So we're not trying to tank the economy at the detriment of some of the most vulnerable, which is our community, but enough to kind of put a nudge in their system. You know what I'm saying? While there are other larger movements going on, this is something we felt like everyone could participate in. Everyone could practice this discipline. Everyone could kind of pause and see where their money is going. And we've been doing it. We've been in a pandemic, you know, for however many months. We've been only going out for the essentials. So now I'm going to just take that one extra step. You know what I'm saying? Instead of going to my local Giant, let me just put a thought in it. Tomorrow, I'll try to find a Black farmer, a Black food stand or something. And that's something we're going to be promoting on our page. We had no idea that list would take off like this. It was just a suggestion. It was just an idea, a conversation starter. But I mean, it's gotten mostly good feedback because I feel like it makes everyone feel like it's something that they could do. So we were gonna, you know, be promoting Black farmers, Black businesses, Black services, people that are doing self-care. I know someone that's doing a weekly 30-minute straight dance. And I mean, you just smile the whole time. But in this heavy time, like, you're doing the Lord's work. You know what I'm saying? If you can just get out there for 30 minutes and just smile and be in your community, people that look like you and are feeling good and protecting that energy. And as you mentioned, increasing the vibration and their vibrations or whatever. So that's pretty much all I had to say as a representative of the Native Village. We are new as of like Sunday. We put a name to it and decided like let's mobilize. That's our part. We're promoting self-care, guarding our temple, keeping our vibrations high. We're promoting shopping Black first. If you can't shop Black, shop local. If you can't shop small, before we give them our money. And again, not like this is the end all be all movement, but in order to, like I said, nudge that system, and it's something that everyone could do.
Okay, well, let me tell you the first thing I need you to do. I need you to shout it as loud as you can. Tell us your organization again. Tell us all the ways that we can reach out, your social media, if you have a number that's dedicated to the organizing in our community, shout that out. Tell us the organization, tell us everything you can. Do that again first.
Okay.
Put it down there.
We go by the Native Village Community Improvement Association, inspired by Marcus Garvey's Community Improvement Association. We promote anything that has to do with education, health and wellness, community building. And I do want to say one more thing. So one thing we've been working on, which is really how we got started, is food access. Like I said, I live in Hopewell, Virginia. We live in a food desert. We have more housing projects than we do grocery stores. We have one high school, one middle school, a couple of elementary schools. Almost all the children are on, everyone is free and reduced lunch. So we live in a poor town, basically. So, and we depend on going outwards for our goods. So we've been working on putting gardens in people's homes and growing our own food as another act of resistance. As we see the pandemic and not being able to get food, we're decreasing our dependency on a system that isn't for us anyway. So that's like the biggest thing I'm working on right now. So we working on growing your own food, putting raised beds, pots, old flour, old water jugs, whatever you got that can hold dirt and seeds. That's what we are working on. And so we're trying to raise awareness to the whole concept of food deserts, food scarcity, all that. Which is not by design. Most of that has to do with the redlining and all that stuff. With your town does not have grocery stores. That's not by design. So, and that's what we're working on bringing access to. But we go by the Native Village. The Native_Village is our IG page. And we posted a boycott withdrawal schedule that kind of took off, and someone did it up for us very nicely and broke it down to where it's easier to understand. But we were promoting withdrawing during the week, celebrating Juneteenth. We have a family celebration plan on Juneteenth, and then June 21st, shutting it down. Just start pulling out what we can day by day, week by week, and keep that going. Total blackout July 4th, and we just keep mobilizing after that. I don't have the answers after that, but definitely total blackout July 4th, and just withdrawing from the economic system.
Hey, peace and power, sister. Keep building.
Peace. Thank you.
You said a few things there. Even if you had access to grocery stores, you should already be gardening and growing your own gardens anyway. The stuff that they put in these foods that you find at the grocery store are of no benefit to us as a people anyway. So even me personally, one of the moves that I started, I took about a half acre of land and started putting a garden there for the community. We're not profiting all of this. The profit for us is seeing our community grow and be healthier. So we're imploring people all across Atlanta, and we hope they do that everywhere around, that you start doing this own gardening. You know what's going into your body. It's no question. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to read labels on the back of a carton or something. You know what's going into your body. But you also made a point to the fact that everybody needs to have a role. Everybody can't be that leader. Everybody can't be on that front line, but everybody has added value. No matter what you're doing, you have a value to bring to the table, and you need to identify those and bring them to the table. It needs to be, even if it's somebody who's in the crowd that's there to just pick up trash behind everybody, that's still a role that needs to be done. No role is too small. No role is too big. But I'm gonna open up. We have another person on the line here. I'm gonna make sure that she's recognized right here. It's Crystal Brooks. She is a past queen for the National Black College Hall of Fame Foundation. A wonderful spirit, a wonderful person, and I know she has a lot to offer. So I want her to take this time right now to at least introduce herself. We're going to keep this conversation going.
Hey everybody, it's good to see you guys.
How you doing?
Hey, I don't really know where to start. I've got a lot on my mind, as I'm sure we all do. I'm just very glad we're having this conversation, starting this conversation. I'm hoping that there's going to be a lot more of these in the future, especially because you guys are, I don't know how old everybody is, but I'm glad this is an intergenerational conversation, because I know me personally, like the past week I've been talking with people 25 and under, and I know I've realized over the past 2 days that my opinions and maybe most of my generation's opinions differ vastly from the opinions of our elders on how we should proceed forward. So I'm just very glad that we're starting this conversation. I hope next time I can see more of my peers on here.
They're welcome. More than welcome. We you know what? I want to make sure that there's an understanding with a myth of older cats like myself, and Stevie is by no means older cat, but he's older according to some of the newer generation that's out there right now, right? So we want to make sure that we understand. We have no problems. We mentor a lot of people across the land, and we have no problem with young people coming forward and leading the way. But you got to understand history, not just as a footnote of something that happened negative or wasn't finished. It was a start. It wasn't a finish line. It was a start line. So I think people need to understand that where we are now, it should be treated more like a relay race. Okay? Mm-hmm. We don't erase what the great forefathers has done for us and spit in their face and say, well, you didn't do it, so we're going to do it now. No, don't take that approach to it. I think the approach that we should have, it's a relay race. So from where we are right now, here's the baton. Go take it to the next level. You know what I'm saying? Because if it wasn't for Martin Luther King, if it wasn't for Andy Young, if it wasn't for John Lewis, we wouldn't be able to be doing the different things that we've got now. And even though it ain't great, it's better than it was before they came on the scene. You know? So I just think if we took this whole mentality of understanding that it's a relay race, and we weren't meant to do the whole race by ourselves. 400 years of slavery, so many years of segregation, so many hundred years of not being able to vote, and Constitution was never being inclusive of Black people. So it's a progress, it's a process, and there's layers to this process, and we need every hands on deck. We need everybody, young, old, this generation that's just coming about, the next generation after that. Here's news. It ain't all going to get done in the next 5 or 10 years. It may not even get done in this generation. But here's the news alert. If we all keep moving forward, guess what? The next generation, the second generation after that, generational wealth isn't all done in one generation. You know what I mean? It's a lot of education. It's a lot of economic power. It's a lot of a whole lot of things. So we just need to understand that it's a different mindset that we got to have, that everybody needs to be a part of this. And we can't ignore some of the great things that were done in the civil rights era, such as boycotts. Because if other companies are supporting the wrong side, then those are the things that we can do to stop that right there. Put some holes in their pockets. No more getting black dollars if you're going to think that way and hold us down while you make money off of us. So there's so many different levels to it. We're very happy to have you, Crystal, and you speak on, sister. We want to hear from you, and we want you to help lead the way. We got no problem with that. I implore that.
Yeah. And we have a job to do. You know, we have to stress the importance to our peers and our friends. You know, we need to tell them this is important. We get so many messages spread through word of mouth, and we get our friends on board when it's the latest thing is happening, a new technology or something else is coming on. We make sure everybody knows about something going on. Even when that president says something, we make sure that the message is relayed, what he said, and everybody hears it. So we need to also stress the importance, be a part of these conversations, even if it's not just this conversation. A lot of people are having town halls, having meetings. Tell them this is where they need to be. You don't need to be checking on the new episodes of the reality shows. That's not beneficial to our situation right now. We need to figure out really what's important, and we need to stress that you be a part of what's really important right now. And I think a lot of people do not truly or fully understand. They think, oh, well, I'm not going to hear the important messages. They're not talking about what I want to hear. You need to tell them, even if every point that is brought up in a meeting, in a town hall, does not speak to them, something is going to speak to every individual at some point. So be a part. Because we have people here, we need to have that community really come in and own in on what's going on. And I think that's where we're failing. And I'm not just saying the younger generation is failing at that. We're failing at that too.
And I want to interject, Trey, because when you talk about history, it's often been quoted as his story. And my story as a melanated man has become a mystery, and is a mystery. So much so that we don't even know our correct names to call ourselves. Now let's talk about language, because this is something that we could change right now. We call our children kids, when we know kids mean baby goats or animals. We expect them to act like leaders, but you call them out of their name every day. We call ourselves black. Now, if you go look up the origin of the word black, the word black in origin means colorless. If you take the B off of black, it's lack. We have a lack of unity. We have a lack of information. We have a lack of a lot of things. But most importantly, we have a lack of self-worth. We've been separated so much from our value that we don't know our worth. And that's a really huge problem in my humble opinion, because if I don't see opulence in myself, if I go through school and I tell Tyrone and Pookie that they're a derivative of a slave, and then I come tell Kirsten and Piper that they're a derivative of a master, Kirsten and Piper do master things, Tyrone and Pookie do slave things. So this is why I talk about holding our different systems, your churches, everything that you hold to high account, your celebrities. Why don't our celebrities talk about the foods to eat? Why don't our celebrities talk about the FICO score? Why don't our celebrities talk about taxes and all these different things? You have to follow the money, people. And I'm going to attack this elephant in the room. If you look at your celebrities, the people you celebrate, they will show you that the people who pay them will not allow you to get full truth. They give you a lie with the truth sprinkled in it, and so you're bombarded with ambiguity. And just like the English language is full of ambiguity, our worth and our values have been full of ambiguity. We know this. We jump higher than everybody else in the world, but we won't elevate our mind. We run faster than everybody else in the world, but we won't run our spirit. We still losing the race. Your hair is perpendicular, but your spirit is flat. There's a problem with that, in my humble opinion. And a lot of this starts with language. And I've seen this thing, knowledge is power. No, I read this verse. People die for a lack of knowledge. We have so much knowledge right now, it's ridiculous. You know if you don't get enough rest, it's bad. You know if you run up your credit, it's bad. You know if you eat McDonald's and fried chicken every day, it's bad. So we don't die from a lack of knowledge. We die from a lack of applying the knowledge. If we don't apply the knowing, then you're not wise. So we have to start applying what it is that we know. How can you have a master's degree but no knowledge of the master? How can you have a PhD but no GOD?
Speak on it.
All I'm saying is these small nuances, food, language, now you can lift the veil. You can rip the veil off and see, man, oh my gosh, that's what's going on. Because they don't teach our babies about Halal Selassie. They don't teach our babies about Marcus Garvey. They don't teach our babies about people that look like us that represented opulence. They only talk about the struggle. They only talk about slavery. There's people that look like me that was never enslaved. There's people that look like you that ran nations and ran empires, but they don't talk about that because they want to keep your mindset bogged down on slavery in this system. And that's one of the things I think we can change when we change the language.
See, I'm glad this is recorded because we're going to have to break this down and post this. Y'all going to have to repost this a million times because this is knowledge that elsewhere you wouldn't get it. I've had a conversation with some of our Black leaders in an hour. I learned more from them than I learned in 12 years of going to school because they're not going to teach us these things. So I'm glad it's our job to repost this and make people pay attention. But we have a question here from, and excuse me if I pronounce it incorrectly, it's Nichelle Ruffin. She has her hand raised. She has a question. Go ahead and speak on it. You have the floor. Nichelle? Okay, I'm asking to unmute. I don't know if you can I hear you barely. Can you speak a little louder?
Okay, what about now?
I hear you now.
Okay, great. I'm going to make it brief. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to speak here. One thing I totally agree with everything that was said, and there's a lot of talk that we do and a lot of trying to figure things out. But one thing I've learned is you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And if you go back and look through the Black Panther Party movement, and all the programs that they started and documented, that it's laid out for us, and all we have to do is pick up all of that and go through that and learn. You can study that by yourself. Now, however, there are some of us who have become very complacent in our study habits. I am willing to set up a group and us learn together because it only takes a spark to get the fire going. So we don't really have to reinvent anything. It's already there. We just have to know where to find it and how to apply it. And the second piece of that I wanted to add is about the mayor, and I think the young lady was speaking about the mayor and different politicians not being in the area, you know, in when all of this is going on. And I wanted to jump on the bandwagon that sometimes they don't have to be, because any of us could be a leader, and any of us can keep the peace. Any of us can make things happen, get people to follow us and go in the right direction. And if those politicians do not come to us, we, at that leader, the spokesperson for that group, can go to them and possibly force them to come to us the next time. So I just wanted to add that. And one last thing is I wanted to add what I do as a part of the effort to get our people, you know, further along. And that is I've taken advantage of the pandemic situation where because my child is not in school at the time, I'm forced to educate my child at school. Well, Black history has been taken out of the school, which I am glad about, because hasn't been taught right, and it probably will never be if we allow someone else to teach us. Well, I've taken upon myself to teach young girls of color, preschool all the way up to the age of 9, how to be passionate about the STEM education, and forming your own businesses, thinking of your own businesses. And I employ the arts with that because we're very great. We're very good at art. And when I say art, I mean dancing and entertainment. So I put it all together so that we can learn. And I also teach Black history in that so that our children will know what we didn't know and believe in themselves. Because, you know, if you don't believe in yourself and have that confidence in yourself, then you'll follow anybody anywhere to hell. And that's what we've been doing. So God bless you and thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If somebody asked, where are you from? Tell everybody where you're from and what organizations you may be a part of.
Okay, I am a retired military. I am living right now in Nashville, Tennessee. My organization that I started is called Naya's Project. And I'll put the link in the chat. You can check it out. You can check that out at your leisure. But if there's anything you want me to implement, I'm still new in that. And I'm willing to, you know, take a look at it and go from there.
Well, thank you very much for that. Definitely well spoken. Do we have anyone who wants to speak on that here?
Yeah, I mean, we do a number of different things at CETA. We have 9 after-school programs in the city of Atlanta, and we teach these young people everything that they will not get in the traditional education system. So our children will tell you what the difference between a social security number and an EIN number. They can tell you the stickers on the fruits and vegetables, what they mean. They can tell you during February month, because I don't like that word, the melanated history month that they giving us. We teach them about the inventions that our people have done, not about just, you know, Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass. We're talking to them about how we invented so many different things that we use to this day to give them a self image in their mind of their greatness. And so kudos to what you're doing, Ms. Ruff.
And tell you again, you know, please continue to ask questions and keep the chat going. I see a lot of people involved. And like I stated before, if you have a comment and you want to be live, just raise your hand and I'll add you on so you can make a statement. But this is very good dialogue. And this is something, like we said, it has to keep going. It can't stop here. We need to also support each other. We have our town hall that we have right now, but there are other people hosting them, and we have to make sure that we make it and get involved with everybody that is trying to host and make a difference. We have to support each other. This is not something that we're trying to profit off of, and I'm pretty sure 99% of the individuals who are doing these town halls, this is not about profiting. This is really about waking us up. Like you said, sharing this information and getting that spark, putting a spark in our people and really going toward whatever steps may be taken. Like you said, we don't know what step comes first, and this is ongoing. It is going to take many years. This isn't, okay, we wake up and tomorrow everything's going to be changed. We have to keep putting our foot on the gas and keep pressing the issue. And that's holding not only other people accountable, holding ourselves accountable. Make sure we all have each other's interests at best interests at heart. So going forward, you know, if you have some questions, please raise your hand. Please get involved. Say whatever you have to say. We want to hear from you. Don't be hesitant to ask a question or make a statement. Any of my panelists what do we have going forward? I have some more questions.
Yeah, let's get to those questions so we can make sure we get their questions answered as best as possible. I don't leave them out. Well, we can talk all day, and we usually do amongst ourselves. But we engage.
It's a family conversation. You know, family dinners don't stop.
Absolutely.
They go all night. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Someone asked me earlier about the police brutality, and I don't want to make this a comparison, really, but they wanted me to mention that now it seems that it's at a different level because we have everything being televised, video, everything. People do not really understand how blatant and just outright cruel police were back in the day. Can we speak really to to the policing, to the police system, what's going on, what needs to go forward as far as the police as a group, as an organization? What do we need to do there?
I don't want to take let's where's she at? Crystal, you want to say something about that? Because us guys are dominate all the time, and we want to make sure we give the lady a chance to get in there and mix it in.
I feel like I might have probably a little bit more radical views than, you know, most people, but honestly, I mean, I look at other countries as a marker, especially countries in the European Union, and you see that they've, in certain ways, like completely demilitarized the state. You know, like police don't have guns out in France, for instance. And I know it's different in America because Second Amendment rights, you know, everybody wants to have their guns. But I just asked myself, I know personally, I was having a discussion earlier today when I mentioned, like, I think that, of course, police should be defunded significantly. There's no reason they should be given so much more money than the public education system. But when I think about my life personally, I have never been able to call on a police officer. Whenever there's been any kind of problem in my life, whether it's been my house being robbed or violence in the home or violence on the street or feeling unsafe walking somewhere, I can't call 911 because I know that's potentially asking for more problems. And so it's like, if I've gone my 25 years without meeting a police officer, you know what I'm saying, with only having interactions where I'm badgered, harassed, into unsafe circumstances, I feel like, what are they doing? I mean, like, maybe somebody else can speak on an experience they've had where the police saved their life, and I just can't identify with that. And so I just feel like if we as Black people have not been able to rely on the state to protect us, I think everybody will do just fine. And I think that there's probably other less forceful ways we can protect our community. Like, I don't know. I mean, I really don't know, but like social workers, like how can we intervene when there's conflict in a way that like is not dependent upon the state who's known for using brutal force against our people? Like, I can't trust them. And even after this is all over, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to want to shake hands with no police officer. I'm not going to want to smile at them even after, you know, whatever happens next. But I don't know. I just feel like I want us to challenge ourselves to imagine a world that's radically different from what we have now. Not just like, oh, let's just incrementally, you know, defund them. Body cams don't work. Little bitty changes we've been trying to make don't work when you're employing people with our tax money to, I don't know, just hold up a system that's not meant for us to live freely. So what do y'all think?
Well, I can go ahead and one thing.
I know I said a whole lot there, but
I know it's not too much. I know I can speak.
I love it.
I can speak from personal experience. Even Stevie mentioned it earlier. We need to learn how we police ourselves. Like you said, you can't rely on the police, but we need to have it organized in our neighborhoods and everything where we're policing ourselves, so we don't need to call upon them.
Let's
Trey, Trey, no. And I was hearing everything you said. Crystal, I totally respect your sentiments, and they're very, very much on point with my thought process, because I'm looking at not the individual police officer. I'm looking at a police system, a police structure as a whole that doesn't respect us as a people, never has, never will. What you were just saying, Trey, say that one more time, because I want to make sure I speak specifically to that point you just said.
Yeah, I was just saying we need to be creating our systems where we're policing ourselves and not relying.
Okay. Yeah. I love that point. I was just having this conversation the other day, Emmanuel, and I was talking to one of my brothers about how the fact that we don't police ourselves. You won't go the way everybody went and looted and burned down these stores around the country. You won't go burn down a trap house like that, because you know what comes with that after that, right? So that's why you don't go burn down a trap house. But you're gonna go try to go to war with someone who's way more powerful than the biggest dope boy in the world. You think you're gonna fight this system with guns? No, you're gonna fight them with your intellect. You're gonna fight them with your
100%.
paycheck. You see what I'm saying?
I agree.
So that was all that
the
I'm
strongest
saying.
muscle we got is our brain, not our brawn. Okay, so I think
not by power, not by might, but by my spirit, my intellect, my inner man. That's what I'm leaning on.
These people got, insurance. I mean, maybe not everybody in the Black community, but a lot of them has got insurance. They're going to overinflate whatever the prices are, and they'll be back up. And then where do we get? So I think it's very important that, the point getting across that we're not taking anymore. I get that part. And, for what they've done to Wall Street, Black Wall Street, it is what it is. So I'm not even going to go there because.
But the only thing about Black Wall Street, Tulsa, and the
they burned down everything and people and killed them.
But they used us to infiltrate us.
Right.
We were so easily bought out. We were so easily infiltrated by our own people because, once again, I taught you to hate yourself and your light, Emmanuel, so much, bro. I taught you to hate your light, Crystal and Trey, so much that if you hate your light, why would I ever celebrate your light if I hate my own light? So, Marcus Garvey think he all that. Let's get him deported. Oh, whoever was running Tulsa, they think they uppity Negroes. They think they know everything. Let's get them out of here. No other culture. Rarely do you see other cultures that do that to one another except for us. Because once again, we're still in that space of that slavery mentality, that hate for self. Once we clean the slate of hate for self and really recognize that we are the only people in the world that heal from the sun. I don't think we recognize how powerful that. Everybody else gets killed from the sun. We heal from the sun. But we stay inside. We don't connect with nature. We don't do any of these things. That's what I'm talking about when you say looking without. I mean, instead of looking without, we start to look within. And bruh, when we do that, family, we will be in a better, much greater situation, much greater place.
And I'm glad you brought up Tulsa, because that one speaks to our history and how relevant it is today. What they did with Tulsa, Greenwood, the Black Wall Street, do you know how easily that could be recreated? And you fix these holes that we had then, like you just stated, it's still relevant today. We create our communities. They may want to do the same things that they did now, but we have the means. And as much as we're not standing for this police brutality, we're not going to stand for a group burning down something that we created. But it comes back to unification. It comes back to us just really knowing our history, knowing our information, and knowing how a lot of that stuff is so relevant today and can be implemented and restructured that we're unstoppable. But we made some posts through National Black College Alumni Hall of Fame, and it was crazy how many people are not even familiar with what happened in Tulsa. They've heard of Black Wall Street, but do they know really the story? Like, nobody knows that, yes, a lot of our own people were used against us. Do they know how many stores? And it wasn't just, you see now Black people love to own salons, and it's not a real variety. It's not, we owned everything then. Any kind of store you could think of, we had
butcher, a hardware store, everything.
Locksmith, insurance companies. But that's who we are. We're multifaceted people. And once again, until we're able to see that value in ourselves, as opposed to the only thing we could do is be athletes, artists, entertainers, dope boys, or strippers. If we don't stop looking at ourselves as that alone, man, oh my God. So let me tell you another thing I want to talk on with the celebrities, talking about these schools. I'm going back to this charter school versus private school education, because if you talk about a charter school, they still have to abide by some of the nuances of the public school system. They can add a little agriculture here or there, but at the whole end of it all, they still have to do the same standardized testing. Private schools, you can control your curriculum, you can create things around finance, around economics, and things of that nature. So that's huge. But I want to mention this: the National Black College Hall of Fame Alumni Foundation. What we can do is mandate to our HBCUs that we still have to say, hey, We need to have places where we teach our students about real economics. I'm not talking about doing a economics 101 bank account and all this. No, I'm talking about when did the FICO score come out? 1956. I'm talking about knowing about it to the specificity of that. We also need to teach them how to teach children or young people that are in school how to grow their own food. Like stuff like that, man. Imagine if we did that even on an HBCU level. Now we're talking about things that we can mandate that make change right now.
That is so true.
You know, there was speaking of that, there was in New York. I'm from New York, and we used to have community policing that was there. They called it, part of the COP, and it was very prevalent. I mean, they even did like the citizens arrest and held them for police. They had twist ties, and they made sure that there wasn't any nonsense going on. And I don't know the legalities of how it's possible, but when there are police officers that are not doing right and they need to be held accountable, they need to be policed as well. And maybe and figure out what legal things that can be done to hold the police accountable in the process of him doing something very illegal while he's holding that badge. What are the laws that a citizen, that's something else. What are the laws that a citizen can do to hold a police accountable that while he's holding that badge, he is doing something illegal and is in the act of murder? So how can we right that immediate wrong by knowing what else could someone do? Because if anybody would have went one step further to helping Brother Floyd, they would have took out their tasers, they would have took out their guns.
Oh my God.
What else could we have done so that doesn't happen again? So there's need to be some other level of community policing that allows something to be said where they have to stop and recognize the police, the community, the COP, the community operation of policing. So there's something that needs to be done. There's a national organizations that's been doing this for well over 30, 40 years. But it's not, state to state, city to city. It's only in certain pockets. But that needs to be understood so that more places, cities, towns can adopt that information and learn, what other laws can be put in places in Atlanta or in Baltimore, Minneapolis, where those laws for those policing would be on their books. I mean, truthfully, it's kind of weird because you have to get rid of the corporation for any of the laws to really be legal. So we're going backwards in all honesty. So if we were moving forward as if the corporation was legal, just for instance, let me bring it real home. When you see your name in all caps, that is your corporate self. That is not your human self. Let's make sure we understand what that means in a corporate sense, okay? Because a lot of people don't understand what do you mean corporation, There's so many different levels to this, all right? So when you see your name on any government documentation and it's in all caps, that's your corporate self.
That's why, Brother Lewis, when you die, they call you a corpse. That's exactly why. Because you are a corporation, so they call you a corpse. I mean, they put everything right in our face. It's up to us to lift the veil to really see it for what it is. This is a joke. This is a joke, but I tell people all the time. Easter bunnies don't lay eggs. Chickens lay eggs. But we still do Easter egg hunts every year, right? But once we get to a place, right, where we recognize the things that's right in front of us and we let go of the traditions that they gave us and we open our hand to truth.
The Bible talks about that. The Bible talks about following traditions that in which you have no understanding of it, and you're still doing it. The Bible talks against that. Stop following traditions that you have no knowledge of and no understanding of it. It's not right.
See, part of the National Black College Alumni Hall of Fame Foundations, this is our responsibility. We're supposed to be a resource center. So we're hoping that you leave some comments, leave some resources so that we can regurgitate this information to the masses. We have to all be resource centers. Whenever someone comes up to us, we need to have this information so we can share with everybody. There's always, like I say, when we have people like you individuals that are panelists here, you all are giving free game. And this is where you need to be, not out paying for somebody to teach you how to do this. I see these online every time I turn around about pay me $69.99 and I'll get you this and get you that. This is free game that's more valuable than anything that you're following on these channels. But we need to be a resource center. And all the organizations that we're a part of, we need to be that resource center. So anybody who's on this call, share any information you have. We want to be able to look on anything and share this information with the masses in our communities. But once again, we have to really build these communities first, because we don't even have that point yet. So we'd like to hear from more people.
I want to say one more thing before if we're about to leave. I want to say something real quick. I think it's very important for people to understand more now than any other time before. Now, the issue has never changed. The issue then is the same issue now, in that we've got to support our HBCUs, okay? Let me make sure we understand that right now, okay? Because you go all these other places, and right here in our HBCUs, right here at Clark and Morehouse and all the HBCUs across our wonderful state of America, our United States of America. We have so many that needs to have this kind of education, one-on-one communication, that we need to be stronger, and we need to be with each other to make each other stronger. That's how we hold each other accountable. So I'm not talking against where else you might want to go, but find yourself in HBCU, get rooted and create their own community inside that campus community. And let's continue to grow inside of our mental minds, so that we can go outside into the regular rest of the real world, so that we can create the impact that we're together as a unit, as a brotherhood, sisterhood in our relative community. See, that's what's going wrong now. Everybody's spread out, and you can't get anybody together.
And you think about this, people don't even realize that we were 200 plus strong when it comes to HBCUs back in the day. Now we're down to
for this very reason.
And we're down to about 105. Don't quote me, but we're down into the low hundreds. But
you asking, why do we still need an HBCU? Because of the same reason.
And this is another point. Somebody asked, how can we get more Black athletes to attend HBCUs? Let me tell you a story, and this goes back to history that I know. It was a team, Western Texas. I don't know if everybody's familiar. They made a movie about this. The first team to bring an all-Black team to D1, and they ended up dethroning Kentucky and winning the championship. This was 66, I want to say. Once again, don't quote me. In 69, these D1 PWIs like Kentucky and everybody opened their doors to minorities, because that gave them a competitive edge. And what did we do? We flocked to these universities. That was a mistake, of course, but they need to know this history and realize that these schools are still not for them. They use us as a tool to garnish nationwide promotions and to get these different sponsors in the door. It's because of our athletes. So that's the starting point too, getting our athletes back to our institutions and learning that our education that we get at our HBCUs is way more valuable there. We get way more attention. I went to Florida A&M University, and I've taken classes at Georgia State and other places. I was just a number and a student on the roll at these PWIs. When I went to HBCUs, every professor, which I didn't appreciate then, I tried to run from it, but every professor knew who I was. They gave access to themselves where you had their numbers, where you could call them not only about the lessons, but if you're in the middle of a night and having a mental breakdown or a crisis, they're available to you. You can't get that at these PWIs. And you still can't, and you probably never will, but we still, for some reason, flock to them. And people will say, oh, well, financially, they support us. If we all move to HBCUs, we will have that same financial support and backing that these other institutions have. But it starts with one person. We have to start somewhere. We have so many brilliant athletes, but these ones who are nationally touted and scouted and everything, they flock to these big universities, Alabama for football, Kentucky for basketball, Kansas. That needs to change. And I know our athlete on this call can speak on that right now.
Yeah, the young man that that is the #1 recruit for basketball in NCAA, he's actually really seriously considering coming to an HBCU. That would change the whole trajectory. Because if you look at the greatest players on the football side of things that ever play in the NFL, they all came from HBCUs. Why? Because during the time, Walter Payton, Jerry Rice, all Lanier, Strahan, Mel Blount, I mean, you name it, they couldn't even go to PWIs. So now they open the doors up to you. They pour this honey down your parents' ear during recruiting, and then you send your child off to a place where they're just a number at the end of the day. And when they take that jersey off of their head, when they take those shoulder pads off their shoulders, you're still just another number. You're still just another player. And I can honestly say, attending the HBCU gave me a sense of self-worth that I didn't see and didn't know that was in me, right? But I just want to talk about this real quick. Anybody, because this is economics, anybody who has an EIN number of business, if you want to get money for your business through this PPP, make sure you contact me, because that's another thing. Right now, we missed the EIDL money for the SBA disaster. These people are giving out thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and our people are missing the buck because we haven't taken advantage of leveraging our EIN numbers, because we just think they're going to tell us no. And if they already told you no, still contact me, because we can help you get to a place in a space where you can possibly get funding for your business. All right. So if you have an upstanding EIN number, you're current on Secretary of State, I'm going to put my email up here, and make sure you guys contact me if you need more information. All right.
$10,000 non-recourse loan. Let's be real blunt, simple with that. That's what you can get. You can get more than that, but $10,000 non-recourse loan means you're not supposed to be able to have to pay it back.
Absolutely. And they have the PPP. They just passed legislation that the payment or paycheck protection program that they have, it used to take 8 weeks. They just passed legislation that it was 6 weeks. Okay. Number one. Number two, now it's 24 weeks instead of 8 weeks. And then 60% of it now can be used towards the paycheck instead of 75, which is the forgiven piece. But the other 40% now can be used towards other things within your business structure. So I'm just telling you guys, this is a chance for us to economically get ahead and make sure that we do right by the funds when we get them. So I just wanted to put that out there, because I don't think a lot of people are talking about that as well.
And then we have a strong supporter who has helped me myself when it comes to raising my credit, come to home buying. We have John Hope Bryant, who has Operation Hope. This is a free service. You also hear people all the time saying they're charging you to help you raise your credit. This is a free service. Operation Hope has been around. They even have Hope Inside, where they're inside the financial institutions. They teach you to raise your credit. They teach you about first-time home buying. They even have a 6-week course on how to start, manage, and be prosperous within your own business. And they're giving this away for free. So it can't always be the excuse that I don't know where to go. We're trying to provide these resources for you. And I also have a hand raised here. It's Shannon Hicks. And I think this will be the last question or comment before we have to close it out. We're going almost an hour and a half strong. Here you go, Shannon.
I had raised my hand when we were talking about the police brutality. So that's the only thing that I had. One more thing to say about that. We were talking about holding police accountable. One of the things we had talked about, we were just kind of brainstorming ideas of, like, if we were to form a committee to go to our local city council or what have you, what would you ask for? And I'm gonna just go through the list of a couple of things that we talked about that we would think would be important as far as being in this system, being police. But we had talked about separating DMV issues from police. We see a lot of our interaction comes from, being behind the wheel, and expired registration goes horribly wrong. So we need to talk about maybe separating those issues from police issues. If your stuff ran out, DMV sends you a ticket and you go handle that or pay that. But that shouldn't result in someone being dead on the street from an expired registration. So we talked about separating those two issues. We talked about demanding community oversight committees. If there's a police incident that, not internal affairs, but there's a community board that reviews that in addition to any internal investigations they had going on. We also talked about where does the money come from when there's a police incident? How does that get paid? And someone had mentioned, another brother was talking about making it come directly out of their pensions, making it come directly out of their retirement funds, making it come out of their pockets. They don't pay that. Now you've got a lien. And so police shooting could literally ruin them. If they don't care about the life, then maybe they would care about, their pockets. Mm-hmm. And we talked about demanding longer training. They go through 8 months. You have to be a lawyer. You go to college for 7 or 8 years to practice law. To be a police officer, you go to training for 8 months and are expected to uphold the law. And so we need to demand longer training, more inclusive training, psych evaluations regularly, and regular mental checkups. So those were some things that we talked about.
Psychological evaluations.
Yes. Who are you bringing? What is the mental state of the people that you were bringing in? That uniform. And my last thing, and then I'm done. We hear a lot of people say, not all cops are bad. And I was thinking the other day, it's because I feel like they're looking at it from the perspective of that's my dad, that's my brother, that's my uncle, that's my neighbor. But they're not thinking about what happens to that person when they put in that uniform, when they're put in that system, because we're seeing people's dads and uncles and brothers acting like complete animals in the streets. It's like they lose their minds. They get in that uniform and they become a gang. And
drunk with power and peer pressure.
Yes, yes. So I think that's something that needs to be looked at. What is happening to these people that are otherwise, bump into you at Walmart and say, hey, how you doing? And then you get into the uniform and you're a sadistic egomaniac. So that's it.
I heard the most important thing I heard from that is that talking about advisory boards and creating these councils, you have to start putting these people together and putting the people in place that, yes, they're not the protesters and the marchers, but those are the people who are going to walk up to these officials, these public officials, these elected officials, and really have a conversation with them. It is possible. Nobody can hide behind these closed doors. You have the right to go and speak to these officials, but you need to make sure that you're organized and you really come correct when you're talking to them, because it's a lot of people who go up to them with anger and they're enraged. Well, once you get to them with anger, they're not hearing your point. So you need to make sure that we're organized. And when we go talk to these people, we have these advisory boards and we have the full right to create them at any time and appoint whoever we want to within our communities and within our groups. And we need to make sure that we go and pressure them, but we have to come in an organized and unified way when we're talking to them. I really enjoyed this conversation. This won't be the only one.
Absolutely.
We want to keep this going. This is just the start of conversations. We encourage others to start their own conversations. We encourage others to create their own town halls and their own organizations that are addressing these issues. It can't stop here. And I want to hear maybe final thoughts from our panelists before we close out.
Stevie?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just want to say peace and power to everyone. Peace and power.
All right. Well, we'll close it out here. Like I said, we're here to be a resource center. We're here to keep these conversations going. I hope my brother and my uncle, this is all a family conversation. I hope my brother and my uncle can join us for future dates follow what they're doing. Make sure you go follow them on all platforms because they're all doing some very positive things, very influential things. And we all have a common goal. And that's the progression of our people, to stop these injustices and to just give our people a chance. We want to create these economic opportunities for our people. We want to create these social opportunities for our people. So you can follow us on all platforms. It's MBCA Hall of Fame. You can go to our website, which is mbcahof.org or mbcahof.com. Please go out and vote to everybody. If you have the opportunity.
Vote. Please.
You can email us directly at info@mbcahof.org. Any questions? We want to hear whatever you have to say, even if you're just sharing with us your organizations. We want to be able to post your organizations as a resource center. And finally, there's a number to call. You can call us, you can text us. You will get an answer. 678-772-1482. Once again, that's 678-772-1482. We want to hear from you all. If you have friends that didn't make this call, share that information with us. Get in contact with us. We don't have all the answers, but we know that one of the answers is to start the conversation.
It's not one thing. It's not one thing. Please understand that. This is not a one-trick pony situation. There's many levels to what we've got to do to right all of these wrongs.
Yeah. And we have to go. Like you said, this is a relay. This is an ongoing process. We need to continue this. It's going to take years. This is not something that's going to happen overnight.
Don't be discouraged.
One of the things that I hate is that we got Obama in office. We came out in drones to vote and everything, and then we got lax. We got comfortable, and then you see what we have now. So when we get these people in office, when we get these conversations started, and we get these opportunities, keep going. Just keep going. Work as hard on the first day and work as hard on the 90th day as you did the first day, and keep it going. So I thank you all for attending. Like I said, we'll have more coming on. Please stay posted. Check us out on social media. I love you, Uncle. You are my family.
Love you too.
Everybody else that took a part, you are my family. You are our family. We love you all. Peace and blessings.
Peace.